This is King's Wood in Kent, near the village of Challock, I think that's how you pronounce it, just outside Ashford. Popular, for me anyway, at this time of year, so this is late April, early May, for bluebells. I love photographing bluebells, I love the smell of bluebells, I like the appearance of bluebells. I'm in Kent for a couple of days. And because of the odd weather that we've had this year, so it's 2018, you know, it's only a couple of weeks ago we were in sub-zero temperatures, threat of snow and frost and heavens knows what else, and then, I don't know, 2-3 weeks later, here we are with bluebells popping up. And from what I've read, the bluebell season is likely to be very short, so you know, literally as the weather's warmed up, all the bluebells have popped up, and the expectation is they won't be up for very long and they'll go over quite quickly, and again that's weather related. So I'm out here this evening just to kind of see what's here. My early view is that the bluebells are not at their best. They're up in places but they're not fully out. Which is a bit of a pain actually, because next week I cannot be here for personal reasons, and I think by the time I get to the week after, which I think is the May bank holiday week, I suspect that the bluebells will have gone over. However, I will come out in that week and just have a look and give it a go. I think what I might try and do is during the May bank holiday weekend try and get out to a local wood in Dorset. Try and use that 3-day weekend to grab an afternoon, assuming it's not pinning it down with rain, because it is a bank holiday, and it's not bright sunshine either. Now the place where I'm going to, it's in King's Wood, is a place I've been to many times. In fact, it was a point in King's Wood that was shared with me by an old work colleague. He knows who he is, and it's a bank. So the footpath, which is what I'm walking down, there it is, right there. The footpath effectively goes in a valley. So you've got woodland going up to the left and to the right, and then certainly on the left hand side the wood goes up and then it flattens out, and in fact the sun goes down behind that flat piece. Now tonight the sun is unlikely to make an appearance, it's very cloudy, but if the cloud did break and the sun broke through as it went down, then it throws shafts of sunlight through the trees, which can be very effective. And the purpose isn't necessarily to go and take any photographs, if I'm honest, but just go and have a look. If the opportunity presents itself to take photographs, then I will. But what I love about bluebells, and I don't know whether it's because I'm slightly colourblind, but the bit that really attracts me to bluebells is that sort of sea of flowers type effect, where you can stand on a slope or a bank and you just get this ocean of bluebells just stretching away out into the distance. And photographically, I always find having some kind of an object out in the distance for the eye to be drawn out to and land on just helps to create that notion that you're being drawn through a sea of blue that stretches from front to back. It for me it kind of enhances that notion, or allows the idea of a sea of blue to be really clear to the viewer, and that's often what I try and recreate. And I think some of the challenge, the joy if you like, is trying to find a view that does that, and it is a challenge. when you do find a strong tree, or an avenue of trees, or perhaps a small sapling with early spring green, that fresh vibrant green leaf on it that's strong enough to stand out from the background. Once you kind of find that object, the next is then to try and figure out whether you need to be high or low to create that sea of blue. I often find that getting low to the bluebells actually helps to increase the idea of blue, and I think it's because the higher you get, the more of the what's in the undergrowth, the green, if you like, that's on the ground shows through, whereas if you get lower, then some of that green becomes hidden, and that allows the blue of the bluebells to have a louder voice in the frame. Bank of blue that I was talking about earlier is literally just around the corner, which you can see behind me, so I'm going to stroll down there and talk you through my approach and what I can see and some of the ideas that cross my mind as I do it. I shall see you down there. Okay, so we're here. These are the two banks that I was talking about. There's one here that looks quite blue actually. I'd say that one up there is my favourite, so I'm just going to wander up and I'm kind of just going to talk you through first impressions, what catches my eye, based on the notions and ideas that I've already talked about. As I'm walking up here, I've also noticed there's actually quite a strong, brisk breeze, so I can hear that in the trees above me. I can hear the leaf litter on the ground rustling. I can hear the leaves above me rustling as well, and yeah, that's actually looking not bad at all. I was slightly concerned that I would be too early, but in fact I think this is looking not bad, and I'm hoping you guys on this video, or watching this video, can appreciate it too. So the next thing to look for is that notion of a sea of blue. Not quite getting it, if I'm perfectly honest. One of the other challenges here is that up there, and by that up there I mean the sky, whereas looking down there you've just got a bank and the background. Now this is quite a wide angle lens, so it's giving you a bit of a false view. It smells gorgeous in here. I'm just going to wander in a little bit further. I'm actually looking down at the bluebells around me, being very careful to stick to the paths so that others can enjoy the bluebells. And those branches moving in front of me, that's quite symptomatic, isn't it, of what's going on up above in the air. I've kind of now got this notion of almost a sea of blue and trying to somehow encapsulate that movement with maybe not a long exposure to grab the movement, but maybe just a hint, just to grab the leaves moving. Now I'm going to resist the temptation to just set up and create a picture. I'm actually just going to continue to look. If I look down there, look, just put my tripod down. I might have to put my glasses on as well because I can't actually see what you're looking at. Bear with me. Okay, So if I look down there, let me zoom the lens in a bit. This is quite a wide lens, that's as far as I can go. But I was talking to you about this notion of an avenue of trees, and if you actually look here, you've got a row of trees. In fact, you've got another row there, look. But you've got a row of trees here, a row of trees here, and then there's a gap right in the middle. And what you might not be able to see, because the lens is so wide, is that there is actually a sapling right down the very end. And that's the kind of a thing that I look for in order to help to introduce the idea of, you know, a sea of blues stretching out into the distance, and then something right at the very end to grab the viewer's attention. So that's definitely a potential, but again, I resist the temptation, and I'm just going to keep walking, and I'm going to take you with me and keep talking, thinking again about that notion of movement. A sea of blue. You've got this is quite a good composition actually. You've got a strong tree there that's lit by the ambient light. You've got a bookend there. You've got potentially a group of trees acting as a bookend here, and you've got this leaflet, new fresh leaf that's just waving ever so slightly in the wind. If it wasn't for this little patch of brown here, then that would probably work quite nicely. But look, if I lower the camera, look how that's reduced. If I just pan out a little bit, let's do that, there. So if you can imagine that as a square crop, maybe you've got this tree here as the bookend, maybe that one there as my bookend, this central tree. From here you can also see where the ground undulates a little bit, which helps maybe to draw the viewer in. And if I lift the camera up ever so slightly, you need to be really careful with how objects are arranged in the frame. Something like, now you see, now I've got the sky, and if I do that, I've now got too much brown. And this is one of the challenges with bluebells, which sometimes can be super frustrating, but then also it's part of the joy of finding something that all comes together, finding order in nature, if you like. Now there's a bit that's gone through my head just as I've been stood here talking to you, that do you know what, I reckon with a little bit of Photoshop, that could actually, that brown bit there, that could actually be cloned out, and I reckon I'd get away with it. So I think I found my first composition for this evening. I'm going to have a go at that. If the picture comes out, I'll include it here.